Yeah. I feel amazing. I
Okay.
really do feel like, yeah, there's no pebble that's wrong. Every
Yep.
pebble is perfectly placed.
Okay.
And yeah, the souls that I met at the ayahuasca, they're just such beautiful souls. And it's been such a gift to interact with them and to just see how interconnected we all are. And
Hello, my name is Tyler Hurst, your co-host of Master Plant Talk, a podcast about master plants. I am here with Claire Kronenberger, who attended, I believe, Aya for the first time last month, and she has a fantastic story of a healing journey that started years ago. Claire, who are you? What makes you come alive?
thank you so much, Tyler. I'm so excited to be here. So yeah, I've been on this healing journey for a couple years now. What makes me come alive is I've always been a dancer and I've always felt so alive when I'm dancing. And also talking about spirituality, it just really lights me up and gets me going. So I'm excited about this conversation, and every conversation I've had with you and with the people in this community is so fun because it just lights my soul up. Yoga is also something I'm extremely passionate about. I just got my 200-hour yoga teacher training and just exploring my own yoga practice and just letting myself be the goddess that I am and the yogi that I am, and integrating dance and yoga with each other is just such a gift, and that lights me up. And then, yeah, just talking to people like you, people that are open-minded and people that are just get lit up by, trees and by talking about love and life and laughing. So I'm excited to be here.
Okay, that's fantastic. Very happy to have you here. I forgot to mention that in the opening, you also have a podcast called the Cosmic Clarity Podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all over the places. Are you double digit episodes? Are you at 12, 13, 14 episodes? Something like that?
Yeah, I think this week will be 17.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Congratulations. And you
Yeah.
just started that, right? November, December? Like it's
Yeah.
October, pretty recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's been working on that for a couple of months. We first met, I think it's probably a couple of years ago now, briefly at a Kundalini class at Urban Yoga. And then we didn't see or talk to each other really again until this summer, where we sat in a microdose yoga session together. Well, I guess she sat in one while I ran it. And so you've been talking about like a healing journey you've been on for a long time, because you have a PA degree, physician's assistant degree, that you just finished over the summer.
Mm.
But take me back to when you started your healing journey. I mean, let's say you're from Montana, you're in Montana, you decide to come to Phoenix. Like, how all does that work? Where does it start? Give me like a year-ish type of thing so we can sort of work through this.
So it all started, I really think what really catalyzed this whole thing it was the dark night of the soul, the depression, and I think
Okay.
that was triggered from grief, profound grief.
Okay.
My mom died when I was 21, which was horrible because she was this radiant being of love and light. And so having to witness her die and go through all that grief and just have all that really sent me in a spiral.
Was this a sudden death, or was it a prolonged? And she was she,
It was 4 months, so it was fast.
but not. Yeah.
But we thought it was going to be 3 to 5 years. So it was like
Yeah.
I was going back to school. I was trying to process it all. But then it was just kidding. The prognosis is months, and so it was
Okay.
horrible. And then,
Yeah.
so yeah, that sent me in this spiral of the dark night where,
Okay.
I'm running away from myself. I'm in relationships that, I wasn't setting boundaries. I was teaching people how to treat me in a really not good way
Yeah.
because I couldn't say no and, all the good stuff. So, but when I got into PA school, I started to have that structure.
Okay.
And I think that helped me in my spiritual growth because I started to awakened to meditation. Like my dad he's into meditation and stuff. So he kind of held the guiding light for me to get curious about that. So I started meditating, and that's really what catalyzed all this, is realizing that I'm not my thoughts, and that, like there's this other part of me, and that I had all this resistance to my life. And so, yeah, it's been a journey. And then over the last year, the spiritual growth has really catapulted itself because I have done so much work with yoga, mindfulness, meditation, breath work, all that. And then, I don't know, the more you awaken, it's like the more you realize there's so much potential, and there's so many more dimensions of you that exists. And it's this continual awakening. I feel really grateful to be on this journey.
Awesome. All right, so let's do a timeline a little bit. Okay, so how old are you now? Sorry to ask the question. You're 28 now. So your mom passed 7 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Dark night of the soul, went through a whole bunch of stuff, coped by having relationships that maybe weren't great for you. You decided to become a physician's assistant, and that school is here in Arizona, and you moved here for that?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you move here by yourself, or is there someone that's with you? Do you know anyone here? What's that like to move to go to school and not did you have any support?
Yeah. So, I think like my dark night, because I did have a lot of good relationships. I think that they were misaligned, but I've been very blessed in that the person has always loved me and respected me. It's obviously misaligned, and it's not a soul connection, maybe karmic. But so I think my dark night was really just, I did a lot of drugs, and, not drugs, but I was smoking a lot of weed and taking a lot of Adderall and drinking a lot, all that good stuff. So anyway, I decided to move here, and the guy I was dating at the time lived here. I did have him, and I had that support, which was good. And I think that, and again, like I said, I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed for that relationship. Was it in alignment? No. Did I know it the whole time? Yes. Yeah. And that's what's weird, is like my soul, some part of my soul knew it the whole time. And it took me meditating for me to be able to admit that to myself, and not only to admit it to myself, but admit it to him. I do think that there was part of me that needed maybe his reflection here for that first step of my spiritual growth, because he did allow this space for me to meditate, and for me to be in more of my feminine energy, and be have this different awareness. And I am grateful that he and I both recognize that it wasn't aligned, and that's a blessing.
I think sometimes the best relationships in life we can have are when we realize that we want to be around, need and want to be around them, but only for a certain amount of time. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that it was a failure. It doesn't mean that people are bad. It just means you aligned for months, years, or whatever else. And then, one person changed, one person didn't change, or circumstances change. And then you move on, not because you don't love the person, just because you're not, like you said, aligned anymore.
Right.
Okay. So 21, your mom passes. You moved to Phoenix to be a PA assistant. How long between those times? Years? Couple years?
Yeah, I think like maybe 4 or 5 years.
So 4 or 5 years. So you moved to Phoenix then like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, to be a PA assistant. So okay, so you get into you're in school to be a PA assistant, but you're also learning about meditation. That's weird. I would think that you would not learn about meditation when you're a PA assistant. Did you have some special program, or were you just feeling safe enough that you wanted to explore alternative medicine and alternative type things? Like, how did that come together?
Yeah. It's pretty interesting, because I think that getting into PA school, I had that structure all of a sudden, but then I started to realize, because the reason I went into school is to help people, right? I wanted to help people. I wanted to, be able to be like a healer and all that stuff. But then I realized that it was the way that the structure was, there had to be another way to go about it. Because my mom was also a doctor, and she obviously died at 52, and so that was in the back of my mind too, is like, oh, this is what my mom went through. All of this craziness is what she went through. And some part of me knew that there was part of her that was suffering, She was a yogi, and she was into meditation and stuff too. So I do think that helped open my awareness to that other dimension of healing and that other potential, because the school definitely talked about it a bit. Like you could tell that the healthcare industry is very aware now of meditation and of burnout, but they do it in a way that's like, okay, here's this course on burnout. Don't get burnt out. But then they send you to a preceptor that's so burnt out and you're seeing 50 patients a day and you're like, what is going on? It's this weird cycle that we're all in. But yeah, so it wasn't really in school, but it was at least talked about, which I was glad. I was like, okay, this is good. But I did that outside. I chose to do that stuff outside. And it is because I think I grew up doing that. I grew up doing yoga and stuff and saw my mom doing it and my dad was doing it. So that helped me.
All right. So you're in PA school now. So let's say 2 years ago, let's say 2023, right?
Yeah.
Are you still using cannabis? Are you still drinking when you need to? Are you still using Adderall? Like, how does that change? How does that adapt? When do you maybe wean off some of those? When does any of that happen?
Yeah. So yeah, when I was in school, I was still using Adderall because it's very high intensity and it's like you gotta do a test a week and you gotta know how to diagnose, treat, and prescribe for everything, and then people are gonna sue you, and then there's all these dimensions. There's so much. So I was using Adderall for that, and then definitely it would ebb and flow, but basically to relax. It's almost like I needed it, and it was like a way for me to cope. And the way that I saw it changed. I decided, you know what, this is exactly what I need right now, and I don't think it's going to be permanent, but it's okay for what it is, and it's allowed to be here, and I allow myself. So I basically just started observing myself and stopped judging myself and let myself do it. The drinking slowed down a lot. There was still times that I'd go and have like 1 or 2 drinks, but that part of me just like completely.
You were no longer a problem drinker or a binge drinker is what you would consider that. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Cool. So are you still with this long-term relationship? When does that end in this timeline?
That ends
before school or after you start school?
After. So well, the first year is didactic. It's all in-person clinical or in-person, and then the second year is clinical. And so we broke up during the clinical, so the beginning of the second year. Okay. So you're in school. Let's say maybe you probably start school in 2022. You finish a full year. You are not drinking as much, drinking far less. You're still using Adderall though because you want to get through life and diagnose things and be smart. You're still using a little bit of you're still using cannabis, but not to excess as much. And you break up with this long-term person. How did that impact you? Like, did you regress at all? Did you go into more yoga and more dancing? Did you start drinking heavier or using more cannabis? Like, what was that like to have that stress during a stressful time? It was honestly incredible. It felt like I was taking off this mask. And it was like, oh my God. It was like, yeah. Because it was finally the truth was out.
That's good for you.
And then all of a sudden this big dimension of reality was coming in of who am I, right? It's like, and I've always known I was going to evolve and grow and change my whole life. And I think that relationships are something that has always like, I really focus in on relationships. So once I didn't have it, it was almost like, oh my God, I have all this energy and all this time that I can use just for myself. Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? And I really decided that I really wanted to feel the grief of this, because I also was just like, I need to grieve this, because if I don't, it's just going to stay. Because I did we broke up like briefly after my mom died for like a year, but I never grieved it because I was going through a lot. And my point is it came back. Right. And so I decided this time, I was like, I'm going to let myself die. I'm going to let that part of me die. Yeah. And I felt so much. I cried so much. I grieved it fully. And I decided I wasn't going to run from that. I wasn't going to go and binge drink. I wasn't going to go and try to date someone right away. It ebbed and flowed. And, I did what I could. I was moving around a lot and there was so much stress, but I tried to channel it in a positive way. And I tried my best to just like feel all my emotions and just love myself. That's really what started to happen is I started to fall in love with myself and literally like look at myself in the mirror and just see how gorgeous I am and, just awaken to me and how amazing I am. And it was just, very beautiful experience.
So were you a serial dater at that point? Were you someone who basically like just sort of always had a boyfriend up until that point? Because like you're talking about grieving and finding yourself when you broke up. Did you just sort of like, I'm not saying you always had a long-term or serious person, but were you ever really single for any long amount of time besides that year after your mom passed?
Not really. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
And like I said, we dated for a decade.
Yeah.
So 10 years, it's like you really, especially when like I said, I think that part of my soul from a very young age knew. So yeah, I was always with somebody, always.
Yes. So you never really had a chance to date and learn how to love yourself without someone else being part of that for, I mean, most of your life, it sounds like, or most of your dating life at least. Yeah. Okay. So that was new. All right. That has to feel very empowering. I can imagine that would just be awesome. I mean, not that a weight's lifted from you, but you're just different. Your priorities are different. You become your number one priority instead of your partner or whatever else. Okay. So you're in PA school. You're single. You're on your own. You're having a blast doing whatever you're doing PA stuff. You do your work somewhere. You do like an internship or something on a reservation. Like, what was that like?
So I was moving around like every month to 2 months, and
why?
That was for the rotation. So like that's why I moved to the Navajo Indian Reservation because I got placed there at the hospital.
Oh, so you were getting moved around for work?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay, wow. Jesus.
Yeah. So it was really stressful because every time I had to pack up my stuff, but it also helped me remember that my center is within me. It helped me realize what things are even important to me and how important it is to keep my space clean. And I learned so much. But yeah, I got placed on the Navajo Indian Reservation, which was like, at first my ego was like, this sucks. Like, no one's going to be there. Like, this is going to suck and all this stuff. But I trusted. I was like, you know what? The divine always has a plan. And I trust that I'll get exactly what I need from there, yada, yada. And it was amazing because it was like all of a sudden I was in nature and I was like, there was so much less energy and it was quiet. And it was just this spiritual experience of like, oh my God, like, and I think towards the end of PA school, I started to be like, oh my God, I made it. And there's now this infinite potential. And especially getting more distance from that relationship helped me really feel more like my own human.
So what are you doing for self-care while you're while you're doing your rotations? You are not drinking, or you're drinking less. You're still smoking some cannabis and you're still using Adderall, I assume. Are you doing yoga? Are you dancing? Are you doing anything formal, or is it sort of all on your own as you find the time?
Yeah. Luckily, I was able to get away. I started weaning off of weed. I was able to completely stop it in last February.
Oh, wow. A year ago. Congratulations.
Yeah. It feels honestly amazing to like just have my power back from me instead of feeling like I need it. If I ever use it again in the future, I'll do it in a spiritual way. And then, still using Adderall, drinking very, very seldomly. I was meditating every morning. I woke up and I would try to meditate right when I woke up. I was doing yoga whenever I could. I have ClassPass, so I would, especially when I was moving. So like I lived in Tucson for a little bit, and it was nice because ClassPass, you can just pick up a class there, and it was fun to meet different yogis and be in a different environment. And then, I did a lot of mirror work where I look at myself in the mirror and just gaze in my eyes and try to see my beauty and just see what's coming up and going on. And so lots of mirror work, and it helped me center myself at the end of the day because there's so much energy that you have to hold when you're being a PA, and like the patients want to talk about their life story, and there's all this. And of course, in my head, I'm thinking, this is a here issue. Yes, it's manifesting in this physical way, but how are you taking care of yourself? And it's so multidimensional, especially having like spiritual awakening during it. You're like, we're just perpetuating this cycle. But my point is at the end of the day, it was nice to look at myself and just let the thoughts move in and out, move in and out, move in and out. And so doing a lot of that and going to a lot of dance. I started to go to dance, especially when I was in Phoenix. There's a lot of like heels classes. And so I started dancing and started to connect to that part of me that is that femme fatale, that divine, dark feminine energy, that seductress energy, and just let myself feel it and support other queens, you know? And like, it was so empowering to like see where I still judged myself and where I still was almost competing against these people that are just divine queens in their own right. And so that was really empowering. Started doing that a lot more. Just opening my heart. I just started opening my heart and softening into myself.
Very cool. Okay, so you're dancing, you're going to yoga, you're not using cannabis anymore. You're still using Adderall just because that's really hard to give up when you're still in nursing, stuff like that. And you graduate nursing school. You graduated nursing school last summer, right? Ish?
Yeah, this summer, right around August.
Well, 2023 or 2024, right?
2024, yeah.
During this time, you get a job working with a physician in like an actual doctor's office, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was over that summer, right? That was last summer?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've gone to school, now you have a job, money's coming in, you know, bills are probably getting paid, hopefully. You come to microdose yoga and sit with me and Amanda. And are you using any other psychedelics at this time? Like, are you microdosing mushrooms? I know you're not using Are you using any psychedelics at all?
Yeah, I was a little bit.
You come to microdose yoga with us. You're still employed at that time, correct? Over the summer?
I was still in school when I came to you.
Okay. So then you finish up school and you start working at a physician's office as a physician's assistant, and you quit almost right away, right?
Yeah.
What happened with that?
Well,
what's the brief thing?
Right.
Yeah.
The brief thing is I just realized like I just was having such a profound spiritual awakening because I got off Adderall. And so that started to purify.
While you were still in school?
It was like towards the end of it.
Right at the end. Okay.
And I finished like I used it for like the final exam and stuff. But then I started getting off of it. And so I think that really just opened my heart chakra. And I was all of a sudden able to be more grounded and rooted in who I truly am, because the Adderall makes you like very much like focus. Yeah. And so I don't know, I felt like it. Yeah. And in your head. Yeah, that's so true. When I was working, I was like, oh my God, like this is not what I want to be doing, you know, and I'm doing this for survival. And it's like, and it was these weird series of synchronicities that happened that made me realize like these people are me. This person is me. That person is me. And they're both showing me my light and my shadow. And they're showing me what I don't know. It was just a weird trip of an experience. And I realized like, I want to give myself the time to process and purify my heart and really come into myself. I wanted to be honest because they were good people. They're really kind people. And I was like, I want to be really honest, and I don't want to be like taking this job that is a really good job and having this person train me and invest all this time and energy in me if I'm just going to leave in a few weeks or months, you know? So anyway, it was insane though.
Okay. So you finish school. You start a job doing the thing you went to school for, realize it's not for you, and quit and decide to become a yoga teacher and to start a podcast. Is that right? All in the past couple of months, all in the past 4 or 5 months, right?
Yeah.
What prompted, let's start with the podcast. What prompted that? Why did it seem to you like a good idea to create your own?
Oh, well, the first and foremost is that podcasts are what opened my eyes to this spirituality and just like realizing I'm an infinite being, that we're all divine love in our own unique font or flavor or whatever. And part of me was like, I love to talk. And like I said, it lights me up to talk about stuff like this and to think about the universe and how it all works. I had always kind of had that in the back of my mind that I wanted to be a podcaster. I wanted to have my YouTube platform. I wanted to be able to spread my love and light in that way. And that's something I always have had in the back of my mind since I was young.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't really that conscious until later. And especially more recently when I started to awaken to my potential and see that I'm infinite and I can do whatever I want. And it's all it's all how I take care of myself and how I project myself out there. And then I'm also in like a group called Unlock God Mode, and they're, online creators of people who believe in manifestation. It's these like really interesting people, and a lot of them love psychedelics too. Having that community really pushed me to do it, because we always talk about what we're manifesting and what we want to call in and how we want our lives to look in 1 to 3 years. And so having that community really helped me realize that the universe is changing, the collective is changing, we're growing, and that there is space for my podcast and I knew that me having the podcast was it would help my own personal growth and help me face my own fears and allow myself to be seen. And yeah, it's just part of my own growth, honestly. And hopefully it does ripple out and help other people too. That's ultimately the goal. But yeah.
Excellent. All right. So at this point, you've graduated from school, you have quit a job, you have a podcast, you are working part-time at this point, or working part-time? Are you hostessing yet, or what are you doing for work? Or are you doing anything for work at that point?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. I really have been in like the surrender phase of just like trusting the universe, how it all works. And so yeah, I got a job hosting. I've been doing that for cash. I've been doing just random tasks.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you're just doing random stuff, nothing really focused or specific. You're just doing whatever you need to do. All right. And because of that, you decide to then sign up to be a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
Okay. What prompted that?
Well, I decided to do the yoga teacher when I had the surgery job too. Like I was like, so, and I think that did make me realize, wait a sec, this is what I like to feel. I love this type of energy. And then the other energy was like, I'm in this box and I'm having to pretend that I'm somebody that I'm not. And I'm having to pretend like I'm not perpetuating this thing that I don't actually believe is helping people. Anyway, so yeah, I decided to do the yoga teacher because, like I said, my mom was a yoga teacher, and I went to Buddha Bella and I fell in love with the lady who was doing it. And I was like, I love this lady. I would love to spend more time with her. I'd love to learn from her and be around other amazing people. And I actually didn't know that I wanted to do it that much. They had like a scholarship and I was like, oh, well, I'll apply for that. But then when I applied for the scholarship, I was like, okay, I really want to do this, so that contributed.
Awesome. Okay. So now you are working, hostessing, doing odd jobs. You are hosting your podcast. You are in yoga teacher training. And then you realize you can no longer afford the apartment that you're in, which is up by Buddha Bella, North Phoenix. So you decide to move back to Montana for a short time.
So, no, okay. No. So what happened is when I quit the job, the neurosurgery job, I was like, I'm going to have to move back to Montana because I won't have any income. Yeah. So I decide, well, I'm going to trust the divine plan. Maybe there are souls that I'm supposed to interact with in Montana that, I just trusted. And my dad has a ranch out there. I was like, I'll live there, and I'll do my podcast. I'll try to build an online community. And I had all these visions, right? So yeah, I was going to do that. And literally the day before, I was literally like in California at my cousin's wedding, and I had my car packed. I was going to drive my car to Montana. I get a text from a girl in our yoga teacher training saying that another lady in our yoga teacher training actually had a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment that her and I could live at for free.
It's a luxury apartment in North Scottsdale, right? Like it's not just like some random, like not nice place. It's like a nice place, right?
Literally. And it's so crazy because I had a rotation up here. And I literally was like, this was a few months prior. And I was like, I'm going to live here. Like there was some part of my soul that knew that I would be here. And I remember I was going through a really hard time. And I was like, if I can maintain my mindset right now, there's so many miracles coming in. I'm going to live here. And I kept just reminding myself, like, it's all good. It's all working out. And it's just so crazy how it all manifested. That I was literally here in this exact area that I said I would be in. And so, yeah, it's been such a beautiful blessing. I mean, I just feel so blessed.
That's pretty rad. All right. So now it's November, December-ish. You have your podcast. You are in YTT at Buddha Bella because that doesn't finish until January-ish, something like that. And you decide that it's time for you to sit with ayahuasca. Yeah. What prompted that?
Well, Mother Aya has been calling me for a while now. Ever since the beginning of my spiritual awakening, I was like, Ayahuasca. It's happening. So yeah, it's been calling me for a while. And then you went and we had a conversation about it. And I remember I was like, my God, this is awesome. And so yeah, interacting with you and your aura and your energy and all that, I think really maybe consciously or subconsciously, I was like, I'm doing it. And then you had the experience at this facility, the it's
AYA,
the
yeah.
oh yeah,
Yahe Assembly, AYA, yeah.
Yahe. Okay. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there. Followed him. And then immediately I was just like, once I got the money in the bank, I was like, it's time. Like it's happening. And I knew that I'm at such a pivotal point in my journey. I wanted to experience it and see if it would help me on my journey.
So you sign up to go to ayahuasca, I believe, what, early January, a month ago?
Yeah.
About a month ago? You go down there, you're in the Maloka, in the yurt, in the middle of the desert. What are you thinking at this point? Like, are you thinking like, hey, this is my journey, this is great, I mean, everything's beautiful, which I assume, or are you thinking a little back of your head like, what the hell? How did I get here? Is there any of that type of thinking going on? Not that you regret being there, but more of like astonished because of all the changes and different things. Are you thinking anything like that?
Yeah, I think that of course, like I was just like, my God, like life is crazy. How am I here? I'm by myself, and it's just like, yeah, there's so many people. There was a lot more people than I expected, which was great, and I loved it so much. But yeah, there was a lot going on, but I'm so trusting. And I was like, you know what? I trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it's supposed to. And that this is all perfect and it's all divinely placed and orchestrated. And there's no rock that is wrong. Every pebble is perfectly placed. So I kept coming back to that. But I do think there was a small part of me that was kind of like, what am I doing? Especially because it's been hard for my family to witness what's going on with me because it's so out of the norm for me. I'm very traditional. I go to PA school, be type A and do all this. And all of a sudden I'm having a podcast. I'm talking about astrology. I'm talking, these concepts that I was grown up to believe were woo-woo and were crazy. And so I think that there was that part of me that was like, kind of like, my family's worried about me. Am I unhinged? Am I, those different.
What was the first night like? What was Friday night like?
It was awesome. I decided that I was like, you know what? I'm going to spend the first night to really just train my consciousness and get familiar with what this is, because I don't even know what it is or how it works. And so I'm going to spend the first night just listening to my intuition and just getting familiar with the medicine. And so it was really beautiful. I came into the experience with a very open heart, a very trusting heart of everything is perfectly placed. There's no pebble that's wrong. Everything that is, all the people that are next to me are an energetic match for some reason. I don't know why, but I just trusted all of it. So the first night was absolutely wonderful.
And so I'm going to segue that a little backwards a little bit. When we first talked about speaking, we talked about prep and preparation for these type of things. So it feels like you've been preparing for this sort of journey for years now. I mean, little steps, small steps, finding yourself, realizing what you don't want to do, realizing what you do want to do, better energetic boundaries, all that type of stuff. Preparation-wise for your first night, which seems to have gone fairly well. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's all sort of sadness and happiness and all that stuff going around. But what did you do anything special or different to prepare for it? Did you just strictly follow the dieta? I know being vegan, that makes it a little easier for some people. But there's anything specifically that you were watching out for, or did you just sort of go into it blind and like whatever's going to happen is going to happen? Like, how did you treat that preparation?
Yeah, I treated it very seriously because because I really don't think of time as like this linear thing. I think it unfolds in a linear fashion, but I think of it as a spiral, and that I knew that everything that I did, that I could do, that I had the ability to do leading up to that to prepare myself in the best way would be there with me in that trip. And I would have better ability to have my awareness intact and better ability to actually use the medicine to see myself and to understand reality and to have a experience that I was more present and less like just like taken off guard or whatever, which who knows, but I wanted to set myself up for success. So when I picked the date, I was in between two different dates. And one factor that helped me was looking at my cycle and deciding that I would rather be more in my ovulatory cycle than bleeding. And I did some research and it was like, definitely try not to be in your bleed.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and it works out because if you choose to see that you're in that ovulatory follicular or post bleed phase, it works out for the dieta as well, because it's like you're less likely to crave those foods, and it's easier to follow it because it's like it's just more natural. So I thought about that. I did meditate. I did the recommended 30 minutes in silence. Not every day. I think there were some days that I couldn't do it or couldn't fit it in. But I decided, like, I knew that every bit of prep that I did, especially in that meditative state, was just helping me regulate and be more in my center so that I could be more present in the experience. And it paid off. It paid off for me. I could feel that I did that, like it was nice to feel like, and that's really what ayahuasca told me. She was like, everything that you've done leading up to this is the work, is the medicine, and you helped yourself so much. And the real work and the real medicine is actually before and after. It's not even during, and just acknowledging how much I've done too. It was beautiful to see how much I had worked on myself and how far I had come and stuff. So yeah, I followed the diet as best I could. I tried to stay away from my phone a lot too, because it does like wire your nervous system up. It like gets you going. And I really wanted to like keep my nervous system as calm as I could. So I tried to just like be the observer of things that were happening. There were some crazy thing that happened the weekend before. And I remember thinking, this is all divine. This is all divinely orchestrated, and it's okay to be happening right now. I'm just going to be the observer of it. And I'm going to be, I'm just going to know that everything leading up is exactly what's supposed to. And it's really beautiful because like everything that people say, like there's these weird things that they say that you almost needed to hear, like some things that you said, Tyler, and like, just like, I don't know, it was just all these weird synchronicities and these patterns. And so I was really tuned into those. And then, yeah, every time that I felt anxious, because it's like, you can feel the ayahuasca starting to work on you, but especially that week before, the energy starts to build and you feel it working on you. And so I kept trying to always come back to being open and just being soft, softening into my body, softening into the truth that everything is perfectly placed and that there's no mistakes and that the divine it's all perfect. And I did a lot of yoga going into it because they said to move your body. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go move my body, go to yoga.
Was there any particular yoga that you did, or is it Kundalini, or was it flow, or is it all of them?
All of them. I did. Okay. I tried not to do too much Kundalini.
Yeah.
But I did do one Kundalini, and yeah, I did mostly flow. And then, yeah, I tried, I danced a little bit. I remember you, Tyler, you said that you like to dance and listen to music and stuff, right? And so I was doing that and just really just letting myself feel a little bit anxious too, and knowing that that's just ayahuasca. That's just the energy starting to build, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's welcome, and I can actually relax into it and move my body and move the density. And that's something I'm really glad that I did too, is show up at the time that they said to show up, because I do think what's happening is you're almost co-regulating with the room and with the people. I was really open to just talking to people and also not talking to people. And being in my own energy and realizing that energy ebbs and flows. I can stop talking when I want to. I can move around and stretch when I feel the density in the room, because it's you can kind of feel the anxiety of the room, and it's I would just stretch it out, and it felt so good. And I could tell that it did send this ripples of just looseness.
Is there anything you needed to give up to prepare for ceremony that was maybe difficult, or maybe not difficult, maybe you just wished you didn't have to?
Cacao.
Okay.
Yeah, I literally was like, what?
Yeah.
Because I love it so much, and I drink it every day, and it's the best. And so I was really sad about that.
Yeah. Okay, so you've done your prep. You spent your first night there. It goes, would you say uneventful, or is it just soft and cleansing? Does there any thoughts come up, or is it just sort of an energetic sort of cleanse and prep?
I'd say energetic. I started to get acclimated to the energy, the collective energy,
Okay.
the energy field that we were all co-creating. And I started feeling into that. Like it wasn't like conscious, but my body was doing it. Like I randomly I just fell into the energy of crying and I just let myself cry, you know? And it was just like, so yeah, I was kind of just getting used to the difference between the collective and then my own energy, you know, after you cry, coming back to yourself and realizing that you're part of it, but you also have your own energy. So yeah, nothing like too crazy.
Okay. So Scott mentioned that he came over and talked to you on one of the mornings. Was that the first morning? Was that Saturday morning when he first saw you?
That was that was
Or was that Sunday morning or
Sunday
Monday?
morning
Okay.
when we talked.
So you finish your first night ceremony. You wake up you finish Friday night ceremony. You wake up Saturday morning. You've cried. You've acclimated the energy. What happens after you wake up? Are you excited to go to sleep? Are you excited to come back? Like, what is that first day like? Or morning,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I honestly was just like learning. That's what it felt like. I was just like learning, what even is this? You know, who are these people? What is this experience? You know, kind of, but I was just very curious. Like I really approached it with this open heart and this curious mind. And I really just, again, softened and slowed down. I decided I'm going to wake, I'm going to have some fruit. I'm going to allow conversation to flow if it does. And then I'm going to leave when I feel like I'm ready to leave. But I was very much like, now I get it. Now I get it. I want to go home. I want to sleep so that I can go for it the second night.
Was there any fruit that stood out? I know my favorite fruit after Aya is watermelon. I don't know why. It just really is.
Yeah.
Was there any fruit that like tasted better than the other ones or anything
Watermelon.
like that? Yeah.
Watermelon.
It really, and almost everyone I've talked to has said that, even before I prompted. Yeah. I feel like pineapple after mushrooms and watermelon after ayahuasca. I don't know why.
It's so good.
But they're really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're Saturday. You've eaten, you've gone home, you've slept, or not gone home, you've gone to your room where you're staying, and you come back Saturday night. What is the second night like?
Yeah, it was nice because it was like I knew what to expect more, and I knew how my energy was affecting the energy of the room. I got a bigger picture of it all, and I felt ready.
Explain that a little bit more. You saw how your energy was affecting the room. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I could see that it's impossible not to notice me, and it's impossible not to affect a room, you know? Yeah, it was just really profound and beautiful to know that. And that kept downloading the whole time. I was just like, oh my God, I'm amazing. I love myself. But also seeing that, like you said, even like, I remember you told me like how your energy does affect the room. And it's like, there's this fine balance where you don't want to affect it so much, but you want to realize that you can affect it in a positive way, or you can affect it in a calming way. And there's like these weird, it's all connected, and it's like this weird thing. So
Saturday night, was there more purging? Was there more realizations? Did you get stuck and have to take hape? Like, did you have a sopla or smoke bath from Scott? Like, what happened Saturday night?
So yeah, the first night I didn't puke at all, which was interesting. And then the second night I was like, I kind of want to, you know, it's part of the energetic cleansing and like part of the experience. So yeah, the second night I was like, I'm going to drink more. I'm going to do as much as I can, you know, like,
yeah. I did. Okay. So you're like, I'm going to have more. I'm going to have a bigger experience. Okay.
Cause I didn't even see any visuals really the first night. Like it was like, you know, so, and honestly, the whole time I didn't really get like that textbook ayahuasca of like the serpent coming to you and all this.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that, which of course it's not going to be what you expect.
No, it's what you need, not what you want. Yeah.
So yeah, I got a lot of sleep and I showed up and I was like, I'm ready. It's going, it's happening, and I'm going to let myself surrender. And whatever that means, I don't know what it means. I'm going to do it. I did have some nausea, but then I realized that I think really what it was, I asked Scott, and the first night he gave me whatever the one is that goes up your nose.
Hape.
He gave me that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't throw up. And so he's like, if someone was going to come up, it would.
It would have come up with hape, especially if Scott gave it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I started realizing, oh, okay, I think I'm just like choosing to suffer, right? Like, and it's like the weird thing. And then I realized, oh, okay, that's what the silence is me fine-tuning my consciousness. And so I started to realize that. And then he gave me on the third night an exercise, a meditation where you visualize from the base of your spine, a light coming up the base of the spine, up to the crown of the head, and then down to the heart and exploding out.
Yeah.
And it was all of a sudden, like, when he
Yeah.
said that, I did it. And all of a sudden I saw this, it was like my chakras literally aligned. And it was
Yeah.
like all of a sudden I could receive the divine. I
Yeah.
could receive Aya. I could receive it. And then I used the silence as just me fine tuning my own consciousness.
Okay.
And it was this opportunity for me to recognize that am connected to all these people in this energy field, but I also am my own consciousness, and I'm the one that's choosing to suffer. The second night, I was like, okay, I'm not, because it's kind of scary to go and ask Scott for stuff. It's like kind of like, I was kind of like nervous about it, but then I was just like, I'm not going to be nervous. I'm just going to go up there. And he'll know, he'll help me. And he's such a beautiful soul. He's so beautiful. And so just like being open to being seen by him and asking for help and, and so it was really beautiful.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up that visualization technique from your spine to your crown to your heart, because he made me do, or not made me. He recommended I do that when I was I think I was in Ukiah with him, so like 6 years ago, summer of 2019, and I was overwhelmed by the energy in the room, and I was like, I need to purge. I just want to get this out of me. And I was like, I need some hape, and he's like, no, go back, sit, do this. And I did it like 5 times, and I felt better. And then I walked around outside, and I felt better like immediately. But it was weird because I expected to need smoke or need hape or need to purge. And really all I needed to do was align my own energies, and everything sort of worked. I eventually did purge, but I didn't need any help. So that was pretty cool. That's great that it works for other people too.
Yeah.
So I asked Scott about you in ceremony, because I always check up on everyone that I know that goes. And he laughed. He gave a good chuckle, and he's like, "Oh, Claire." He's like, "Ah, she's great." And I was like, "Okay, what's the story?" He goes, "Yeah, so one of the mornings," he goes, "I think it was Sunday morning. I think you said it was Sunday morning. She was sitting down on her mat or somewhere in the yurt in the Maloka, and there was people around you." And I was like, "I'm shocked. I'm floored that Claire has people around her." And you were crying and saying something about "it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful" while you were crying and sitting there. Do you remember what that was about?
Yeah.
Okay, what was that?
So yeah.
And this is the morning. This is after the ceremony. It's light out, I'm assuming.
So surrender for me was relaxing every cell in my body and letting every cell in my body relax. And it was almost like my body was sleeping, but my consciousness was awake. It was like the most profound thing. And the more I relaxed every cell, the more downloads I got about the energy of the room, and the more insights I got into everybody in the room and how we're all connected and we're all matched for each other at some capacity. So anyway, I was still in the medicine because I had gotten because I drank a lot or more that night.
Like how much is a lot?
I mean, I think I drank 4 cups.
Okay, that's a lot. I mean, that's not like an extreme amount, but that's a good amount.
Okay. One of them was like right before the morning too.
Oh, so you might have still been a little bit in the medicine. Okay.
I was straight up in it. Like I was like, so I'm laying there, but it was beautiful because I was just receiving the energy of the room. I wasn't talking to anyone, but I could tell that everybody cared about me, and everybody was checking in on me. People were checking in on me. People were coming around, and people were interacting and doing it was just so fun to know that my energy was still dancing with their energy. They knew it, I know it, and it was just this beautiful thing. Yeah, I was just having all these realizations about my own self. I think that is really what I got from this ayahuasca journey, is just how much I affect the room and how powerful my aura is and who I am. What a beautiful person I am, not only on the outside am I gorgeous, but on the inside. So I got a lot of insights into that, and it was beautiful that Scott was still around. It touched my heart, and I felt like he cared about everybody, and it was just so beautiful because I was like crying because I literally kept having all these realizations of, well, okay, so the other thing that was happening was sorry, my consciousness is everywhere, but
doing great.
There are some energies that come there, and it's like they're almost like brought to their knees, right? Because it's like their life is so chaotic that they have to be brought to their knees. And so those energies, I watched them interacting with the other energies, and just the connections that were happening were so beautiful. And it just kind of broke my heart too, that we are all love, and that we are all on this journey, and that every person too that they just reminded me of people I love. Like one guy next to me reminded me so much of my brother. And so seeing him interact with this other guy I loved and seeing their love and how it just brought me to tears. It's just so beautiful. And it's just love. I was just like, oh my God, we're all literally love and we're all connected. We're all the same thing in a different language. And it's just so beautiful. Yeah, I had a lot of realizations about that. Yeah, it was beautiful because like Scott was over mingling with the people and we made eye contact. And then all of a sudden I closed my eyes and then all of a sudden I opened my eyes and he's right next to me.
Yeah.
And he's just like, all of you is welcome here. And it was just so beautiful because I'm like, hey, no, I feel that intuitively, that almost like me being so safe in my own energy and allowing myself to feel this divine love and cry and receive these beautiful insights is almost, it's contributing to the group in this beautiful way, in this authentic, vulnerable way that is the human condition, which is love and which is also emotion. And I don't know, I think there's something so healing about tears and especially about a woman's tears. I don't know what it is, but it's like, it's powerful stuff. And so when he said that, all of you is welcome here, it just made me so happy because I was just like, it's beautiful that I'm welcome to be this. I'm welcome to like just lay here and like cry because I'm so happy and, you know, just like laugh or whatever. And he said so many random little tidbits that they just resonate with your soul. And so that was absolutely beautiful.
Nice. I'm encouraged, or I'm encouraged. Proud of you too. It's nice to see you realize like your energetic effect on a room, because I know that I do trauma release for the people listening. I do a trauma release yoga class, and I asked Claire to sit in on one, and she did the guided meditation at the end. But her only job the entire time until the guided meditation was just to sort of dance around and just sort of be Claire. Like I gave her no direction whatsoever. And so I did that class. And then the next week or 10 days later, you had gone home to Montana for Christmas. I did another class with the same amount of people in the same space. And we actually did a lesser intensity version of that. So when you sat, it was anger. And then the next time we did love. And so it should have been, I mean, if you think about it, it should have been easier on me to do the love one, even though you weren't there because it was less intense, right? Oh my God, that like knocked me out. It just, I knew, but I didn't really know. And it was weird to see like the comparison right away. Just you being there and you dancing around and you just sort of just existing sort of in your femininity, in your power. Was just soothing to probably not only to them, but it was to me too. And that was really cool. Okay. So that's fantastic. Okay. So Sunday you have this sort of, I don't know, breakthrough, but sort of realization, whatever else. You go home, you go to eat, you take another nap, you come back Sunday night. All right. Typically Sunday nights are easy, light nights because they're sort of a celebration for the weekend. The past two ceremonies I have been to, that has been the opposite. But typically, what was your Sunday evening like? What was the last night of the weekend like for you?
It was beautiful. It was a lot more calm.
Okay.
And yeah, it was just so interesting, very interesting. I gained even more awareness into myself and I just felt so much love and joy and just like happiness, which was beautiful. So yeah, the last night is a lot more calm and definitely I'm so grateful that I did it because it's a completely different energy and you get so many insights on how energy works and even how your energy is impacting and you just get so many insights through having that extra night of much less energy. And yeah.
Now, there's a lot of people that might leave after a night or two, you know, if they got what they needed or they just didn't want to do anything more. And honestly, did you have any thoughts about after Saturday night? Like, I could not come back Sunday. I got what I needed. Was that a consideration or were you always in for 3 nights no matter what?
I was always in for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you have your Sunday night, everything goes well. You have cool realizations. You've purged in some way, whether that's throwing up in a bucket or whatever. You've moved, you've danced. A lot of times people don't realize that dancing can be a really good purge too. So if you are able to channel the energy through movement, you may not have to purge in other ways. Do you wake up Monday morning You got to go back to the real world. What was it like coming back to your apartment in Scottsdale? Was there anything that you realized that may have been different for you? Were there any emotional changes? Anything that you realized maybe in the first couple of days that were different after the ayahuasca weekend? Did you feel lighter? Did you feel just less? I mean, anything different from when you from the time you left Friday to when the time you got back Monday afternoon?
I think I was just more in tune with the ebbs and flows of my energy, how it ebbs and flows.
Okay.
So yeah, I was just more in tune with that and realizing like when a conversation is not lighting me up anymore and I'm a little tired, and it's like, and so I just started to tune in more to that and just be more open to that and know that like I can just like relax and I can just, that my energy ebbs and flows and that's actually very normal.
Yep.
So that was pretty much one of the biggest insights for me.
Okay. Did you have anything in specifically that for integration that you wanted to work on? Was there anything that you, like a lesson that you learned or maybe a tip that maybe you should adjust or anything like that that stood out for you at all?
I think mostly it was literally like, keep doing what you're doing, girl. You are doing it.
Okay.
Continue doing yoga, continue meditating, continue knowing that everything's perfectly placed and that there's no mistakes. Just continue the path that you're on and trusting. But I did realize that, because one thing I really think that I wanted to get from it is, why did my soul chose to go to PA school? Like, why would I choose that? Like it's so, and then I knew like that there must be a reason. And of course I was hoping that ayahuasca would just give me this bold idea and I'd be able to go and, but I think ultimately what I realized is that it's powerful to have somebody like me with the experience that I have and the degree that I have to be speaking about this kind of stuff, that because the collective is changing and because it does demand this type of stuff and it's truth. And so being able to stand in my power and being my truth, and also know that I can have a foot in the spiritual realm and I can have a foot in more of the quote unquote matrix, only because my human needs security. And, it's okay for me to have a job that it's helping me. And it's like, I realize that two things can be true at the same time, and that the most spiritual thing I could ever do is be a human, but also realize that I'm a divine goddess. Okay. I'm a divine spiritual goddess wherever I go. Me realizing that. And so, just realizing that maybe my Claire, she needs a little bit more security than being a hostess only and working these crazy jobs. Like I need more security and I need more of that masculine structure for my feminine to really flourish. And knowing that, multiple things can be true at once, and that, I'm fully human, fully divine.
So was going back to your hostess job, working with the public, was that, I don't want to say weird, but did you see people differently? Because I know that I both noticed how I don't want to say annoyed, but maybe noticed how static people's their energy was, but also I had more compassion for them at the same time. Like I'm like, not only do I realize that you're angry for reasons that have nothing to do with me, I also feel for you. Did you notice that at all?
Yeah, I think that I was like kind of already in tune with that, but what I got more of is realizing again how my energy, it just shifts the room, the whole room. And it's like impossible not to notice me. It's impossible.
So you have to account for that no matter what you're doing.
Right. And so I realized like it's kind of fun. And also ayahuasca is so beautiful, the whole slowing down thing. And that's huge. Everywhere I go now, I move way slower. And I realized that it shifts the energy. In my job, it's so high intensity. People are running around. And I just walk really nice and slow. And sometimes I move my arms, and sometimes I, and I just, now I'm more in tune with like how it's shifting the energy and more in tune with, my own self. It's almost like I can be more focused because I'm less like, there's less internal chatter or something, or I'm not really sure, but it's really beautiful. And now I'm realizing that sometimes, like, even if people aren't consciously aware of what I'm doing, I'm helping the energy slow down in that whole room. So it's like I'm almost helping other people regulate their nervous systems as well. By just being in my own power and moving slower. It's like, even if they're not consciously aware of it, it's affecting the whole.
That's cool. Have you taken any Kundalini classes since?
No, I haven't.
Let me, as we're recording this, Claire sat almost a month ago about 4 weeks ago, right? I think I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it was early January. So you're a month out. You have not taken any Kundalini yoga classes. Is that because you've chosen you don't want to, or because you have not been called to?
I haven't really been called to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're doing less of them at the studio that I'd go to.
I noticed that.
So yeah. But yeah, I did realize that because Kundalini is that ascension. It's like that. You feel like you're high after, you feel really good.
Yep.
And like I said, the ayahuasca kind of told me like, you did that. You're liberated. You have done so much. You're a goddess, you're a queen. Now you know it. And now it's time for you to ground yourself a little bit and give yourself the security that your feminine needs to flourish and to, just really be who you are in your fullest power.
So I'm going to circle back, using your terms, your preparation type things. Let's say I was in a situation similar to yours. I've gone to school. Maybe I'm still in school. Maybe I'm at my first job. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm finding myself finally. Maybe I've moved away from my family home or whatever else. And I'm getting prepped to sit with ayahuasca. Is there anything that you would highly recommend that you make sure to follow? Or would you just say follow the entire list no matter what? Like, is there anything in specific that you'd be like, you need to make sure to do this. I did this and it worked out really well for me. Can you think of anything that you like had to pause or redo or whatever else that really worked out well for you?
I'd say meditating.
Okay.
And then the diet is easier for me because I am vegan. And so in that part was honestly just like easy for me. But I'd say the diet too, because it was nice to not have to deal with the nausea. Of course, it was a little bit there the second and third night, but I could tell that for me, it was much easier than the collective. You can feel the whole energy that people are really struggling with it. But it's like it takes you out of the experience. So I do think really setting up your vessel, because we're the vessel for the divine, right? And you're the vessel for how the ayahuasca is working. So setting your vessel up as best you can by exercising, getting sun, and eating right, and meditating. Those are probably the biggest things.
Very nice. Very nice. How are you feeling now? It's been a month out. Do you feel different? Do you feel happier? Or do you feel more centered? Do you feel like you understand things better? Anything changing?
I feel amazing. I really do feel like, there's no pebble that's wrong. Every pebble is perfectly placed. And the souls that I met at the ayahuasca, they're just such beautiful souls. And it's been such a gift to interact with them and to just see how interconnected we all are. And so, I've been feeling really good, really empowered. If anything, it just reminded me like I am in my truth and I am speaking truth. And that is powerful to know that I'm not crazy, but there is part of me that does need security and all that good stuff because I'm a human. A human, we're all divine and we're human, and it's just beautiful. So feeling very good, very empowered, very trusting, very open, and just overall incredible.
Okay. Yeah. So what are you working on that you want? There's anything you're working on that you want to share? Are you teaching yoga anywhere yet? Obviously, you have your podcast. You can talk a little about that. Like, what are you producing? I don't mean like if you want to talk about your work, you can talk about your actual like hostess job. But I just mean, what are you like? What are you putting your energy toward?
Yeah, I am putting my energy towards obviously my podcast, my YouTube. That one is really important to me, and I would like one day to have an online community of creators and people who need space to talk about this stuff because it's not every day that you meet someone that sometimes it is. And I think it's getting more and more of that the collective is starting to wake up to this stuff. But anyway, so what I'm actively putting my energy towards though is finding a PA job that it works for me. And it's been fun to like see what's out there. Like you connected me with that doctor that does ayahuasca.
Joe Toffer.
Yeah. It's just fun to see that like I'm not the only one.
No.
And that it's only a matter of time until a doctor will see me and it will be like this beautiful thing. And so I'm working towards that because I do really want to channel my energy as a PA. And it's something that I know that I can really contribute to and help a lot of souls, and it will help my own soul growth as well. I'm actively on the job hunt and having interviews, doing things like that. And then, my podcast. And then also strengthening my yoga training. So I've been trying other studios too, getting to know other yoga teachers, getting to know other principles or practices like Ashtanga, more like just expanding my practice. And then what's on the horizon for me too is I'm doing like a leadership activation with a women's group. So I'm going to start hosting more women's groups, and eventually I want to do like priestess yoga or goddess yoga, where it's divine feminines only, and we wear whatever we want, and we channel our sexual energy in a really safe space, where we do yoga and we do dance, and we really connect to our sexual energy.
Yeah, there's a group that used to do that. They might still do Urban Yoga Unleashed or something like that. I'm glad you're doing that. So it sounds like you are, because some people, they go to yoga class, or they go to an ayahuasca ceremony. They're like, well, I need to be a yoga teacher or a shaman or whatever else. It sounds like you still know that your path is in the physician assistant, but you're going to be informed by all this stuff because you know that that's your best bet to be financially secure and that type of thing. It sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just part of like what I need to grow as my soul needs to grow as, and yeah. So yeah, it feels like, because I don't want to, I just think that it's beautiful too that I can be this gift in the healthcare realm, because it's not that common to meet an energy like mine. And so just staying true to that, and realizing I can integrate all of it.
And also, you won't be judging people who say like, yeah, I took mushrooms, or I'm using cannabis or whatever else. You know why they're doing it. You can feel why they're doing it. They're not destroying themselves. They're trying to feel better.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I have. So thank you very much. I'm going to close out the podcast and then I'll stop recording. In case anyone forgot, my name is Tyler Hurst. You can find me at microdose.yoga. That is Claire Kronenberger. She is at the Cosmic Clarity podcast. Which is, does that have a website, or is that just on Spotify, YouTube, all that type of stuff?
Yeah, Spotify, YouTube, but I do have like a store. The link is in my Instagram bio.
Okay, so I will find all these links, and I'll ask Claire for all these links, and we will post them in the show notes so you can check all that stuff out. What is your Instagram handle? You have Cosmic Clarity, and then
Claire Baby, Claire Babayy.
Yeah, and then I think it's Cosmic Clarity 667, something like that.
Yeah.
Or is that TikToks, whatever else? Okay. Do you have anything else that you Yahe Assembly want to know about attending an ayahuasca ceremony or preparing for one? Anything you want?
No, the only thing I want to say is just a reminder that everything is perfectly placed, and it's all so perfect. It couldn't be more perfect. And the best you can do to set yourself up for success is wonderful. Those small micro things that you can do, but whatever you can't do, let go of it, because everything is perfect. Everything is perfect.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
All right. It's fantastic. I'm going to stare at the camera for a couple seconds. Bye, everybody.
So I started meditating, and that's really what catalyzed all this, is realizing that I'm not my thoughts, and that, there's this other part of me, and that I had all this resistance to my life. And it's been a journey. And then over the last year, the spiritual growth has really catapulted itself, because I have done so much work with yoga, mindfulness, meditation, breath work, all that. And then I don't know, the more you awaken, it's like the more you realize there's so much potential, and there's so many more dimensions of you that exist, and it's this continual awakening. So I feel really grateful to be on this journey.